King Charles could use this Prince Andrew lease loophole to evict him from Royal Lodge's deadline set. Prince Andrew, 64, has been given a deadline to prove he has the funds to refurbish Royal Lodge, with King Charles making a significant security decision on the property. Prince Andrew is facing an end-of-the-year deadline to either prove he can afford to live in Royal Lodge or be evicted, as King Charles is set to make a final move in the battle between the brothers. The Duke of York is currently embroiled in an ongoing row with the Crown Estate over his current living arrangements. The Monarch is set to lean on lease requirements which demand regular maintenance of the property, which will cost over £1 million. Andrew may struggle to pay for this due to not being a working royal, but he does have mysterious business interests which he may be able to count on. Hello viewers, please remember to subscribe and click on the notifications bell icon, so you will be notified whenever we upload new cookies about the British royal family. An insider told the Daily Express that King Charles has sent the Duke into a spin due to his ongoing battle to get him to move out Royal Lodge. This includes cutting off his private funding for the estate and axing his 10-man security team, which will depart later on this month. The source said, Andrew has been asked to prove that he has the financial resources in place to conduct the necessary repairs to Royal Lodge. If he is unable to do that by the end of the year, formal discussions will be held with the Crown Estate about how best to move forward. This ultimatum could be the final straw for Andrew, who has spent the last 3 years clinging on to his residence despite no longer being a working royal. He holds a lease with the Crown Estate which allows him to live in the £30 million home until 2078, with the terms of this imposing strict guidelines on what alterations can be made there. The agreement requires that the character of the property be maintained as a royal park and forest, and stipulates that the prince must cover the costs for refurbishing the historic building. But it is showing signs of neglect, with paint flaking off the walls and moss growing on the exterior. It has been reported that the escalating repair costs have already surpassed £2 million. The lease also dictates that the property's external walls must be repainted every 5 years with 2 coats of paint starting from 2008, and internal redecoration is required every 7 years beginning in 2010. A source added, the Duke has fallen behind on necessary repairs. He needs to prove to the Crown Estate that he has the funds to do this, or the intention of doing this, within the next few months, or they could start eviction proceedings. Earlier this year, an insider shared a similar sentiment with the Daily Mail. Charles values family above everything, they said, and whatever the course of his relationship with his son, he would never be content with just seeing his grandchildren on the odd video call. The monarch was reportedly keener than ever to make up for lost time with the grandkids he's only met a handful of times. And yet, it's been 3 months since those remarks were made, and the king has still not made a move to impart his wisdom on 2 of his 5 grandkids. Sadly, we won't be holding our breath for it to happen any time soon. King Charles, set to ban historic word during upcoming royal tour. King Charles is set to ban a historic word during his upcoming royal tour with Queen Camilla, it has been claimed. The term walkabout will not be used on the King and Queen's tour of Australia and Samoa out of respect for Australia's indigenous communities. The phrase, coined by Queen Elizabeth II 54 years ago, is set to be replaced with opportunity to meet the public, out of respect for the customs and traditions of Aboriginal communities. The term has come to mean a member of the royal family meeting, and greeting well-wishers. However, it is used in Aboriginal culture when a person travels on foot into the bush in times of ritual, meditation, change, grief or coming of age. This tour is understood to be the first trip where the term has been deliberately avoided. It will be Charles's first return to Australia and Samoa as king and the head of the Commonwealth. The tour has been adapted in line with doctors' advice, Buckingham Palace has confirmed. The 9-day visit will factor in some rest periods after the long-haul travel, and will not include any evening engagements in Australia. The king, who is receiving treatment for cancer at the age of 75, will undertake several engagements relating to the disease. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla, 77, will attend events for her key causes of preventing violence against women, and promoting literacy. Engagements will focus on acknowledging and honoring Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island culture and traditions. The King and Queen will attend a community barbecue, a staple of Australian culture, in Western Sydney, as well as learn about bushfire prevention and native plants. The tour was originally intended to include New Zealand, however, it was scaled back on medical advice. A Buckingham Palace spokesman said, "We've had to, as you would with any visit, think about how you can ensure Their Majesty's energies are preserved to be at their best." There had been some hope earlier in the year for Their Majesties to be able to visit New Zealand. On doctors' advice, and in close consultation with the Australian and New Zealand governments, that wasn't able to take place. We've had to make some difficult decisions about the programme with the Australian government, about where Their Majesties can get to. In other news, the King is spending a quiet weekend in Royal Deeside to mark the second anniversary of his mother's death on Sunday. Queen Elizabeth passed away at Balmoral on September 8, 2022. According to Richard Eden, the Daily Mail's well-connected society diarist, the medical team are also staying at the estate for a meeting to discuss all health matters relating to the royal family. A medical source said, "It's an important get-together." The King, 75, has been undergoing treatment for an unnamed form of cancer. The Queen, 77, who returned to royal duties last week before heading back to Scotland, is thought to be in rude health. Her Majesty met Sandra Tyler and Jill Hitchman, who were both undergoing a chemotherapy session. Noticing that Sandra was wearing a specialist hat which helps to prevent hair loss, she remarked, "You've got your ice cap on." Camilla also engaged in a light-hearted exchange with Paul Holdway, a 55-year-old nurse and patient undergoing a stem cell transplant to treat his blood cancer. When asked by Her Majesty, "How are you feeling?" Mr. Holdway replied, "I am feeling very tired." The Queen responded with a touch of humour and said men won't admit it, in an apparent reference to her husband. She has made it clear she would prefer Charles to slow down during his treatment. The royal medical household is made up of a number of professionals at the top of their fields, who also usually work across the NHS and privately. Unlike other parts of the royal household, their names are not revealed publicly. In June, the King personally honoured his top medical team, including Dr. Michael Dixon, head of the royal medical household, who was made a Commander of the Royal Victorian Order, CVO. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and drop comments, and most importantly don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything.